This video is sponsored by the legends at bestgameprice.net. More in them at the end. Neil Druckmann stands in a boardroom, surrounded by his development team. "Hi everyone, I'm Neil Druckmann," he says. "I've got a new idea for The Last of Us." He walks over to a whiteboard, draws a picture of a dog, and then slashes a big X over it in red marker. The room erupts. One by one, the leads of various teams stand and clap. A standing ovation the likes of which you've never seen. They're cheering, no, yelling, no, screaming. Eyes bulge, mouths froth. Troy Baker and Ashley Johnson appear and explode into 10 out of 10s, and then I woke up. This was a very real dream I had on my second day of playing the game, after stabbing a dog and then playing fetch with it, and that dream stuck with me until the credits rolled.
I could search the world, would I be happier than now?
I like The Last of Us Part 2 a lot, let me be absolutely clear. It simulates hurt and pain and frustration in a way I wasn't expecting, and in a way I think can only work because of how invested a fanbase it has. The reality is that the game wouldn't work if we didn't align ourselves with Ellie's anger, and we wouldn't align ourselves with Ellie's anger if we weren't so pissed off that Joel died. It's a sort of experiment that can only work if you piss off your fanbase, and I think that's incredibly interesting, no matter which side of the discourse you fall.
I love you, 'cause I want to.
But on both of my playthroughs, I started seeing fingerprints on each minute of game time, on each story beat that made me angry, or worried, or tense, or confused. I started having flashes of Neil Druckmann in a boardroom, announcing he was going to kill Joel, kill dogs, shoot a pregnant woman, have Joel play a Pearl Jam song about how he's living for Ellie, surrounded by applause and pats on the back. The Last of Us Part 2 is clever, but it's also indulgent. It knows that it's clever and loses some of the first game's understatedness as a result. But when it comes to its first 10 minutes, that's not necessarily a bad thing. So, let's overanalyze this overindulgent opening. This is the first 10 minutes.
'Cause I want to.
I don't know what happened. I was supposed to take her to the Fireflies and walk away. You go halfway across the country with someone.
There's a clash of tones in the game's first 3 scenes. Hopeful, sentimental, but our first impression is tense, ominous. We pick up just a day or so after the end of the first game, showing us exactly what happened when Joel reunited with Tommy. Joel tries to justify his choice to steal Ellie away from the Fireflies, stating bluntly that he saved her. But Tommy and the player know that the situation is much more complicated. The worst thing that Joel does in the original Last of Us is lie to Ellie. He told her that she wasn't a cure, that the Fireflies let her go after running some tests. That is the focus here, his lie, his determination to get his story straight. For 4 minutes we sit with him in this dim room. Tommy is the point of view character because of how little we see him and how much the camera just sits, swaying, watching Joel as he polishes his guitar, occasionally flashing back to the Firefly Hospital. We wallow in this moment, the moment where Joel decides firmly not to tell Ellie the truth. In the days that followed after the game's release, and even today, we were all torn apart by 50 different types of Last of Us discourse, and because the internet is the way it is, I saw some exhausting takes that Joel is some evil villain in the first game that got what was coming to him, and when I hear those takes, I wonder if we played the same game. So, seeing as this is the focus of the sequel's first moments, providing shades of grey to harness its theme of senseless vengeance, let me explain why I'm a Joel stan. We find Firefly recorders that document their struggle to find a cure. We learn that there have been other patients with immunity, but they failed to replicate that immunity and died in the process. The only thing that makes Ellie different from them is that her immunity is bigger.
Blood cultures taken from the patient rapidly grow cordyceps and fungal media in the lab. However, white blood cell lines, including percentages and absolute counts, are completely normal. There is no elevation of pro-inflammatory cytokines.
There isn't even a sniff of a guarantee that she will deliver a cure. In fact, if those other patients are a baseline, it looks like the surgeons were about to kill her for nothing, and they knew that that was a likely outcome. Also, Marlene and the Fireflies didn't explain the process to her. She was getting on that operating table not knowing that she would die without her consent. Yes, of course, Ellie probably would have sacrificed herself, but we don't know that for sure, and she should still have been told. This means that the Fireflies, and yes, especially Abby's friendly zebra-saving head of surgery father, boil down to a bunch of child murderers without a semblance of scientific proof that it would do anything. Joel's hospital rampage might not be nice, but it doesn't make him some unequivocal bad guy. Fuck the Firefly! There are hard cuts during the flashbacks to still scenes, showing blood on the floor, a dead surgeon. Again, we sit with this, giving pulp to Joel's lie. The visuals indulge in the rampage aspect, while the dialogue indulges in the lie, connecting the two, evolving the lie to something huge, something violent, something that we should be afraid of. And Joel knows it.
Jesus Christ, Joel. What do you do?
When Tommy asks Joel what he did, he replies, "I saved her." He drops his gaze to the ground. He can't look his brother in the eye. He's not wrong, he did save Ellie, but he refuses to confront the fact he broke her trust. As they leave the house and begin their journey back to Jackson, we're given control. Not a single word is spoken between the two brothers. The environmental design starts to do all of the talking. Golden fields, refreshing rivers, peaceful, tranquil animal life, so much colour and light and warmth that it's hard not to feel it overshadow the tension of the previous scene. The ride back to Jackson is here for two reasons. The first is how the game wants you to bask in its detail, in its graphical fidelity, while also getting to stretch your legs and play some of the game. Again, this opening is indulgent. There's a lot of cutscenes and a lot of character work on show to set the status quo, so Naughty Dog are breaking that up by letting us push some buttons. No duh. That's all great, but the second thing is much more interesting. Through the thoughtful, melancholic guitar, we're encouraged to see Jackson's safety, to ride through it, to feel its hope. Tommy's people have conquered this area, something that's later reinforced by how rigorous they are with the patrols. It's signaling to the player through light and texture that after 5 years of living here, Joel will be inclined to develop a sense of trust with other people, to let his guard down. And later, he's punished for it.
Hey.
Hey.
What's up, Joel?
Just checking in.
Our opening comes to a close with Joel and Ellie reunited on screen. What we've been waiting for, confirmation either way as to whether or not Ellie truly believed Joel at the end of the first game. It's not explicitly stated, but the tension between these two tells us everything we need to know. There's an awkwardness. The scene is treated as a father entering his daughter's bedroom for a difficult talk, but the context makes the awkwardness much worse. Joel has a good reason to be here. He's checking in on Ellie, he's brought her a gift, he's about to share a hobby with her that they both should be excited about, but the whole thing is framed as sad. Again, each shot is just a little too long, so we're stuck with each character for a bit longer than we'd like, drawing out what should be a fun scene and making it hurt. Ellie wants to trust Joel, but she doesn't. Not anymore. Clearly, the lie has formed a humongous rift between the two of them. She tries to usher him out, claiming that she needs to get to sleep, even though she had no intention of going to bed before he arrived. Placing the guitar tutorial here heightens that. It's our first time with this minigame, so our finger work will be clumsy, not impressive. It's not difficult or anything, it's hardly an obstacle, but because it's new and unfamiliar, it simulates the difficulty of the moment, for both of them. It's indulgent. We're forced to sit in this.
There you go.
Well, that didn't suck.
But hope is still here in this scene, carried over from the ride to Jackson. After Joel's awkward rendition of Future Days, a song choice I still think is too indulgent and on the nose, Ellie agrees to guitar lessons. Their relationship is still there, it's just fractured, and it will haunt the game until the credits roll, each beat weighed down by it. Despite loving The Last of Us Part 2, I completely understand the reasons why some people hated it, particularly when that reason goes back to cost. Games deserving of your money come out every month, hell every week, so if you paid $60 for an experience that didn't give you what you wanted, I get being pissed. Luckily, this video's sponsor, bestgameprice.net, is here to soften that blow. It's a price comparison platform for PC games, hooked up to all of the trusted names that you know and plenty that you might not, so you never pay too much for the games you play. Because I don't just rely on Steam and checked it out, I found God of War 2018 for just 30 quid and Red Dead Redemption 2 for less than 18. It's totally free to use with no sign up necessary, so click the link below to start saving money and to help the channel out. Thanks again to bestgameprice.net, and thank you for watching. There will be one more video to go before the year's out, and then I'm resting up for a mammoth 2023. I've got a lot planned and getting married, so I'm keen to get a head start on it over the Christmas break. On the left hand side of my patrons, they're the reason I can commission talented people like Zoltiboi to make fun animations for my videos. His Twitter is in the description, so show him some love. Order of thanks go to John McGuirk, Jerome Hotchkiss, Prodigal Horse, Mr. Anthropic, Mike Chalabi, Ryan Smith, Trenchcoat Guy, Timothy Hollowell, The Heirs of History, Griffin Spencer Beam, Cody, Kyle P. Feely, Garrett Birchall, Chachis Vaz 76, Paul Ryan, Jack, Neil Mack, Sam's Forge, Joey Isbell, Aurelia, Schwabalaba, Kristen Fenchel, Neon Leah, Saint Allison, Patrick Baird, LGX, Weaving Werewolf, Nicholas Chemin, Trevor Vernon, Mark Anderson, Kay Dansky, Joel Wilcox, Pleo, Gavastrion, Blank Name, Unholy Biscuit, Uzair, Leon, Matthew Sinclair Thompson, X Wrights, Shamax, Tibby Galanu, Aiden, Jonathan Riggs, Ace Attorney Fan 621, Zachary Johnson, Daxer TK421, DNSCH, Jordan S, Jared Trainham, Nick, Damp Gibbon, Monicari, Kieran Gresty, Lamar825, Jeremy Shore, Ike N, The All Brand Man, Tempe, Courtney Wampler, Anthony Holder, David J. Morin, Minito, Callum Armitage, Christopher Tierney, Torstein Sunnis, Fipsy, Derek DeRosia, Luca, Tom Inns, Sammy Stuff, Jaguke, Alberto Calez, Captain Waffles, amazing, Type Raz, Dini, Zachary Powers, Andrew Muinos, Compulsory Fungus, Prospero, Now Guterres Nopoff, Alan Black, Callsign Nor, David Bedard, CC, Jared Helfer, Mukor, John Foster Ag, Robert Capel, Matt McCulloch, Ethan, Paul W, Chief Sweep, Ehor May, Jonathan Lum, Eddie Wingfors, Reese, Strupp, Angry Optimist, Yana Grasfrau, Mr. Fredo Renton, Laura Possum, Long Cheddar, Jordan Hulsey, Toxter, Donis Conva, Ashley Broning, 100 Sams, My Friend Neil, Nathaniel Waters, Dinkin Pearson, Kyle Pears, Lonely Ronin, Kane Highwind, and Neve Care. Thank you all so much, and take care.